Hello and welcome to day 2 of our new project Timothy's Definite Edition. So let us start with a little recap of yesterday. What we have actually done yesterday. Which day one? We had done yesterday, we have achieved the introduction of myself, the studio, the project. I've showed you the status quo of Timbertates of the original version. We have this cool new tool which is called Codex, and we have created our first cards and design documents we can now work with. Yeah, we have some minor things like interface, music, sound created, the project overview itself with some links to the other cards. That was working quite nice. We thought about the first goals we would like to achieve, or milestones better said. We still have to put them into milestones and make them more clear. It's just a rough sketch of goals and milestones for now. We created some tasks we worked on. We also finished the first tasks, such as fetching the assets, set up the Godot project, and of course the Twitch day 1. And last but not least, we set up the Git project and the Godot project and have a sneak peek into the Tileset, which follows to the next task. So for today, we have day 2. Today we would start with coding. Actually, I would like to have more coding ongoing today and achieving a little bit more. I was concerned yesterday about the Tileset things, that they doesn't work as I expected, and I would like to stick to the original version and keep out the Godot Tileset stuff. But we will have to see. I will write that down and my thoughts in a minute so we can review it and work on that. But for now, we have the recap for day 1 done. So I have written down, create the TileMap and Tileset to use it for maps. Unit creation, I don't think that we get this far. But that's not the problem. So the TileMap, let's check the decks. Coding, TileMap. Create a TileMap in Godot which is capable of sorting different tiles and display them to our hex field map as we do in the original version. I think this one I have to redefine a little bit before we can start, but first I would like to have the game design document. And in here I would like to have a new card which is called TileMap. In the original version we use a generated map based on JSON data, which was produced from a map editor tool. To actually get the map working in Godot, we need to adjust some things. Problems. First, so what's the problem with Godot? I yesterday checked into the Godot project and we have the Tileset node from Godot, but this is working quite differently from the approach I took in the original version, because Godot already offers us the Tileset with all the navigation and the placement and stuff like that. And in the original version with libGDX, I wrote this full engine, the hex TileMap Tileset by myself. And now we need to match these both approaches together. I don't think the Godot approach is easy to adapt to our own implementation. The second thing is we don't need the features of the Godot implementation, such as navigation, drawing, etc. So my conclusion, or my approach I would like to take for today, is we re-implement my own tile system in Godot. I would like to implement my hex field engine into Godot with nodes and textures without using the TileMap or Tilesets from Godot itself. So I'm not sure if this is the right approach, but we will go with that for today because I think it's much easier. We can now link these together with the TileMap for the idea, create the TileMap in Godot. So this is explanation for that. I would like to have this one as a hero card. No. Oh no, that was wrong. That was wrong. Subcard, add subcard. Encoding, content, import JSON data for example map. Okay, the TileMap is now a hero card. Yeah, that's what I wanted to have. So now we need to get the map actually started and working. We need the JSON data from the old maps to import and process them to generate the map. We need to create a tile node. Create a tile node. The tile node should contain the texture and the Z index, which is actually displaying, could be safe, is actually displaying the right order of the tiles. And we need to have to import the textures to the project. Yeah, I think that's quite cool. So let's see how we can work on that now. We have our hand. Now we get to our hand. Now we can work with the subtasks, of course. Okay, so let's start with the import JSON data for example map. Let's get to work. So our hand is import JSON data for example map. I have my project here, and this is the different data for the maps. So we have the data here, we have the maps there, and I have several groups of maps. I just have to look for how I was structured here. So these are different maps. These are the mission maps. Tutorial map. These are these three maps for the challenges, and these are the missions here. That's why the folder is called mission. So I would like to start with just the tutorial 1 JSON, because it's just the the simplest map, I would say, the most easiest map. Let's start up Godot. I hope it's Godot 4. Yes. So here's our project. We will start a project for now. And let's remove everything we've done yesterday with this map and asset scenes, because we will start new from scratch. Delete. There was something, editor layout, editor settings. I don't understand why. The own scaling. The scaling isn't right. I don't understand that. The scaling could be a little bit more. For me, it seems a little bit like that our scaling isn't done anything. So there was another fix for that. Let's see, where is my Godot? This is Godot 3. Godot. Open it for me. Ah, it's in chocolate. Okay. So here you can do something like compatibility. I think this was it, but I'm pretty unsure. Yeah, now it looks better for me. I'm old, I need it a little bit bigger because my eyes aren't that good anymore. So, assets. Assets. I would like to have the assets and create a new folder, which is called data. Into the data, I would like to create a new folder, which is called maps. Into the maps, I would like to have a resource file, which is a JSON. And I would like to name it map1 JSON for now. Save. Now we put in our map JSON and save it. And this is our JSON, which is the groundwork for our map. So in this JSON, everything is in there. We need to render for the map. So we can get back here and can say, okay, import the JSON data for example map. It's done. Can I fetch these one to me? No, can't. Nevertheless, so import textures. So we also need, damn it. We also need to import the textures. For the textures, now we need our different pictures, because as you can see, we have the image meter, which is actually the metadata of our map. And the metadata is doing a pretty simple array, which actually says the tile with the image meter 0 has the string hexa black PNG. The 1 is the Tileberg 1 PNG, Tileberg 2, and so on. We have a lot of different images here. And what we need now is we need these images as well as textures. So I have just the packet list of the map, as you can see here. I'm not sure if we can look at it, but these are just some atlases, and we don't need it as an atlas for now. I would like to have it as PNGs, and I think we don't have PNGs for now. Ah, here they are. So here are all our PNGs. This is the Hexa Black, this is the Tileberg 1, this is the Tileberg 2, this is ice tile, etc. So all of the tiles should be here in our assets map. And there we have also the pack.json, where we can later on going and doing an atlas out of that and creating a texture atlas. So actually we can already skip that point and can say this is already done because we also have it here. So then let's get started with the more interesting part. Create a tile node. We need to set up a scene in Godot, which is capable of storing our texture or tile texture and display it. So what we actually would like to achieve here is pretty simple. We would like to create a node. So we go into our scenes. I would do a new folder. I would say into the scenes. Yeah, let's structure it a little bit. So I would say it's the TileMap. And then we create a new scene, which is a 2D scene, and the 2D scene is a tile. With the TCN, I think TCN is the right one, we have a 2D scene tile. Okay. Then we go into our 2D vision, and now we have one node we're in the scene with a 2D tile, which is just a simple node. What we would like to do now is we would like to have a texture. So in Godot we have the possibility to have a texture rect. For example, a control that displays a texture. We also have, let's check a little bit. So we have here all the 2D nodes. Yeah, there we have the tile map and the atlas stuff. I'm a little bit confused by now because green is normally just the control nodes and 2D should be normally a blue icon. But if we have just a texture, I'm not sure if there is a blue because it's not an animated sprite we have here. But yeah, I think what I want is a sprite. Yeah, sprite to do I would like to have, because it comes with different properties and attributes we would like to use later. So here now we can add a texture, and in this case we can just do a new image texture. Let's say we load a texture from our scenes, from assets, from map, and then we take just the Tileberg 1 to see how it's looking. So here we can see we have a texture now loaded. Our textures are 256 by 256, and now it's displayed here correctly. So for now we could just save it, and now we have a pretty simple tile which is display our texture. And if we now go on and we could say we make a new scene and we say it's our map, then we could just do something like this, and then we could just duplicate it. And then of course this, what I'm now doing is just exampling. We want to do it programmatically in a minute, but I will just show you what we need to do, because now we have the possibility to have different tiles like that, and with the tiles we can now create more tiles. I want to have them in this case. So, and now you already see the problem I had in the original version, because now it's now comes the hard part, which is encoding a little bit complicated. Because we have hexagon tiles, and they aren't even the easiest ones, because we have a tile which is 56 by 128, I think. So it's half the height than it has the width. And this leads to several problems. For example, if we now want the second tile, so the first tile is this one, the second is this, the third is this, and now we would have to have the second tile a little bit down, something like P64, and we needed to have it on 192. And then we need the third tile on, what is it? It is 256 by, I think, 128. I need to calculate. I can't do it in my head this early. So it's 384, I think. So, and now you see the second problem. This is the problem I had in the original version as well, because under rendering we would like to make a tile map, and for the tile map we have to shift the tiles around, and every second line is a little bit the half of the first line, and so on. And now if you have the third tile with a higher Z index than the second one, then you see that this is overlaying. So what we need to do is, it actually needs to get behind it. So what this means is, the first row needs to have a lower Z index, or needs to be generated first, and afterwards the second line is then overdrawn it. And in this case we are able to create this visual effect that they are overlapping each other, and that the transparency is working correctly for that. So, but as I said, this is just a pretty very, very simple example how we can draw it. Of course, we don't want to use static tiles, and we don't want to place them by ourselves. What we are now trying to achieve is, we actually want to have different tiles with different textures, and we want to have them generated. Cat, go away. Go away. We want to have them generated. And for that, we start now with our create tile node, and we say the texture should be dynamically should be changeable. So let us keep it simple. So what we do now, cat, go away. What we do now is we add a script. New script. What I like to do is to put the scripts not inside the same folder as we have the scenes. So normally I do something like create a new folder which is called scripts, and then use the actually same structure we had before. So we do map, and then we are on the tile, and we just name it tile. And this is our TileGD. It implements the node, and we would like to create it. So now it will be interesting, because we are getting into the coding, and I have no idea of the coding anymore. So I have some puces in my mind, so we can look up how to export things. Yeah, today we will have a lot. We have to do a lot of research and a lot of doing actually coding work, because the most coding work is researching how things are actually working. And var, so this is how we export a variable, and then we can say how it's called. In this case, it's our, I would just name it tile texture, and it's the type texture. Why we know it? Because we have here the type texture on our sprite 2D, and we can also give it a basic value. And the basic value would be, in this case, I think you can copy it. You can take it from here, assets, map, and then it's rest, something like that. Godot res export res. Something like that. But I think we don't have to do it for now. We can just have the texture and just save it. Then we have a tile texture right here. And we can now set the tile texture. But actually because we are on the sprite 2D, let's see. At the moment I'm a little bit I'm confused because we added the script to the sprite 2D. So let's rename it to tile texture. It's a sprite 2D, and we do the script here. And let's rename the script. Let's rename the script. Scripts TileMap. Rename tile texture. So we go more minor, and in this case it's pretty easy because we can take sprite 2D. We have also in Godot the possibility to look up the documentation here, which is quite handy, and then we see we already have the texture here, and that's what I wanted to do. So what we can do actually is we just write a function right here and say func set texture, for example, and then we can just say texture equals our text. I think we are able to also do something like texture. Then everything becomes more doc typed, and in this case we can set the texture dynamically in the tile texture GD. That's right. So what we can now test it. We can actually test it. If we take the ready function, we can say our texture. Now we can say set texture load res assets. Moment, I will copy it. It's much easier. So we take the ice tile, for example. We copy it. We paste it here. I think load needs something like that. I'm not sure. I think like this. And then we can just start the scene. And as you can see, it's not centered, but it already changed the texture to our ice texture instead of the Tileberg texture. So what we achieved now is we are able to change the texture by setting the texture over our set method. And this we will need in our map later, because then we have the possibility to set the different textures up for the different tiles. So I would say for now, why is the debugger still opened? We don't need it for now. For now we have done this, the texture should be changeable. We can now change it. So now I'm a little bit confused how we go on with the codec stuff here. If we always create new cards for every single part, or if we just create a new textbook. But I have to leave you for a moment. I'm back in a minute. So, sorry for the break. I had to go to the toilet. So, let's go on. I'm not sure. Yes, stream is up and working again. So, are you with me? Let's do a little recap. What we have done so far is we have imported our JSON data into the project. We have imported the texture to the project, which actually shows us our different pictures of the tile maps, and we now created a tile node, which we can see here, which is actually displaying our texture. And now we are also able dynamically with the GD script to change the texture, which is actually pretty simple, but don't be scared, we will get into more details and it will be more complex. So for now it's pretty simple, but yeah, we have done it already. The first tile is set up and now we can go on. And the next thing I would like to do is we would like to create the map. So create a map node. This node should work as a container for our tiles and draw the map based on the provided JSON. So this already sets us. We need a way to have a variable for different JSON data to process the map. Then we need a script which parses the JSON. And last but not least, in the container, what we need is, if the script parses the JSON, we need to create tile scenes with the right texture and position. These are actually the first tasks we need for here, and this is quite complex. Damn it. Here I wanted to, I would say it's an effort of 2. It's high for that, so let's start with it. So what we need is we create a map tile. We already have it here. But what we don't want is the scenes, because this was just an example for you how we should have it in the future. So what I would like to do now is I would like to add a script here, a new script, which is actually going to our scripts TileMap, and then it's called mapGD. It inherits from our node 2D. That isn't really the problem. What we now need is we need a variable with our resource. Let's think a little bit about it. We need our JSON file. So what we need is a var JSON data, and this one is load res assets. No, I want to say data map1. So for now we just have map1. We want to have it laterly. It should be dynamically changed, but for now we just do it like that. The problem I have so far, or I have now, is we load the JSON into the JSON data, and I have actually no idea how the JSON data looks like. Yeah, I don't have the idea how it looks like for now. So what I would like to have is, one moment, I'm calling. No, I don't have time for that now. So I would like to set a breakpoint here, and then we start a scene and we go into the breakpoint, and then we can see the JSON data for now is just an object. So what we want to do now is Godot4 parse JSON file. So we have different ideas. This will get you started. We can take it as JSON. Parse string, JSON as text. Okay, let's do it. It looks pretty fine. So I'm not sure if we need the load then. Yeah, of course the load is just creating an object for us, and we need to have the file like that. Okay, so what we are doing now is we're skipping this approach. We don't do the load thing. We just have it as this, and then we say we create a function here, func, which is private, and we say it's parse JSON for now. And what we want to do is file access, get file as string, and then we say JSON data. So this is our JSON string. And then we can parse it with JSON parse string. So we say JSON is JSON parse string, JSON string. And then we can do something like they show here, if JSON dict print. I would print it for now. I would just set a breakpoint again and say in the ready function we do a call of parse JSON. Then we start the scene and we are here now, and then we have the JSON data, we have the JSON string, and let's hop over. No, that's not right, because then it's breaking there. Okay, let's do print JSON then, and let's set the breakpoint there, and then we can go there, and then we see the JSON is a dictionary with the image meter. Where is our image meter in it? And then we have the map, which is actually providing the map. Then we have the placements. The placement in a JSON is for the player placement. It is used to define where on the map the user can place his HQ. So it was planned for that way. Let me move the camera a little bit. I'm sorry. Sitting a little bit left. Now you can't see me anymore. Damn it. What is going on? So I hope now it's everything better. So let's have a look in our code actually, because I have already done that in libGDX. Because there we do the same thing actually. We have somewhere, I have to look up for it, we have a listener. We have something like a map. No, the listener aren't that. We have a socket somewhere. Then we have a socket listener. This is this one. Then we have a socket connection. On the socket connection, we set the nickname. We set that. Let's see where we get the map. Want to move. Handle error command. AI placed, player placed. It was something like map loaded or something like that. I'm a little bit. Game state update could also be a thing. And it could be. It's in the game renderer, I would say. Cannot find a declaration. Oh, come on. Wrong shortcut because it's not Mac. I love it. So not drawing, model, game model. No, the game model is also not right. What I need is the renderer. I need the game renderer. The renderer is having all our informations as far as I know. So what this gets is gets the game model here. We have the highlights. We set the highlights. And then we have to get draw tiles from the model. So the model was that bad. In get draw tiles. So this is actually what I wanted to have, I think. Get grid, get cells. Get grid, get cells. So let me just try to understand my own code I wrote, I think 6 years ago. Create water surroundings, update site maps, but I think that's the right point. We have the map objects here in Java. Here we are in Java on the old project. We already had everything as a model. So we have the iterator and we could go over them. And we could get over the cells and just draw them by the cell. So what I would say is I would like to see Godot 4, how to define constants for now. with a singleton, but we don't need a constant for that. We can also go on. So what we actually need is we have to have in the map something like var tile size, and this is let me see, tile height. And we need something like, of course we do it in small case. The width is 256 and the height is 128. So what we do by now is we have our debugger. We have our map. Let me start it again. We need to see the dictionary. So what we need now is we actually need to parse the JSON, and the parse the JSON isn't that easy, because we now need to loop over it. So what I think is we need something like a for loop. For I'm not sure if the first is the X or the Y, but as I have seen in the code before, I think it's the get grid cells, it's the X. Yeah, I think it's the X. So what we need is for X in JSON map print X. So let us just set a breakpoint there again. We hope we get there, and then we can see X is 0 because X is the key of the dictionary. So what we actually want is we want to see this one, and this also has a Y. So then for Y in JSON.map.x print Y. Let's restart it. So we don't have a problem and we have this, that's fine. So let's go on. We have then a Y. So what we're now doing is the first one is the X, that is the 0, and then we go on and that's the epsilon. And in the epsilon, we then have our labels, which aren't that important for now. And we have the image ID. And the image ID is then actually our texture. So let me just do a comment here. How was the comment? Image ID labels. I think this is right. So actually, what we now need is we need to create scene in GD script. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how that was working anymore. It was just load the scene and then preload the scene, and then we can just instantiate it. Yeah, that's what I want to have. So what we need now is, I hope you like the progress so far. So I have to research a lot because I have to get back into it, and I can guarantee you with the ongoing days and ongoing streams we will get faster, we get more excited. But this is also a possibility for you to actually have the possibility to see what I am doing, to get used to it. Everything is just about learning, and if you know how it works, then of course you get faster. And if you have take off a break like 5 years in Godot, you need to research things again. But yeah, it will be better. So what we do now is we preload our scene. I'm not sure if you need to write it in quotes, but I will do it for now. The scene is in the scenes, and we have the tile scene. This is our tile scene I would like to have. Because what I want like to achieve now is when we pass our JSON, we have the image ID, and what we want to do now here is we would like to create tile, and the tile should have the json.map.x. One moment, I think that's wrong, because this must be json.map.x. And then we must have json.map.x.epsilon, and we have the image ID there. Yeah, and we also want to give it the X and the Y, because we need that information for our position. So what we're doing now is writing another function, which is actually the create tile, and then we have an int, X int, epsilon int, and image ID int. This is our function we create here, and then we have a new tile, which is actually var tile, and then we have our tile scene, and this we would like to instantiate. With this kind, we have a new instance of the tile, like this, and then we would like to add child, because we are here in the map, and then we say add child, and there we add the tile. But before we can actually add it, we would like to add the tile and set the texture. So, and now we have the problem, because the texture is not getting us what we would like to have. Because that's pretty easy, because I have written the script on the tile texture here and not on the tile. So the tile itself don't have the script for now, and we need to add a tile in the scripts folder, in the scripts tile, and we also want a TileGD, which inherits from the Node.js, and there we would like to have something like a var sprite tile texture. And this is sprite 2D, and this is tile texture. The default value is using, which won't return in the tree before find node. How was this done in the past? Godot find node. Get node. But I need to do it. Damn, I don't want to start Battlenet. That was misclicked. So this isn't working anymore with the $ command. I think it was. This is interesting. So they changed it. Of course, I can do it with the onReady. So what I want to have here is onReady. Like they saying, actually onReady I have the var sprite, and then we have get node, and this is tile texture. Then we actually don't need the functions here. We just write a public function get tile texture. We can say it's sprite 2D. And then we can say return tile texture. I'm not sure if I'm able to do this. It can be unexpected indent. Godot for func return type. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to have the function. Are we able to actually do it with type hinting. I mean, it's not important, but I just wanted to look it up. Yeah, it's with this one. I don't like this writing, but okay, so we need to do something like that. Then we can actually do the type hinting, and then we have a type hinting in the function, and we know we get this. So why we need it? Because we instantiated now the tile, and the tile then has the tile script in it, and then we can say tile get tile texture. I'm not sure why he don't give it to us. Tile texture. And this is the tile texture then. Yeah, so this is always a problem I have in Godot right now, because if you are capable or you are able to add scripts to every child of a node. So it absolutely makes sense to have a tile texture which is capable of setting the texture, but you need to access the parent on the map, for example, and then you have to add a getter, or I now write something like a setter, and then you have duplicate code, which actually isn't cool. Because there, I would say I don't use this one, and we just do tile texture set texture. Set texture, and here we would like to set our texture, but we don't have the texture yet, because the problem now is one problem leads to another. We need to fetch the texture by image ID. We have the image ID, which is here, but this is just an int. And the int is referencing on our JSON, which we created before. And we need to fetch the image texture out of it. So what I would like to do is I would have a var JSON image meter. And we would say, let's set another breakpoint here. Hope we can go there. No, because this one is now broken, of course. Where's the debug? Debugging! This is the process. I'm in the wrong scene. That was the problem. Okay, so what we want is the image meter. So I would have to have the image meter with which is in the JSON. So what I do here is JSON image meter equals JSON image meter. We just set it here for now. Yeah, we will, in the first place, I now try to just achieve things. So what is the plan? The plan is to actually have a dynamically created map out of the code. And afterwards, we need to clean up the code. So in first place, I always like to go just by trying things, achieving things, and afterwards I look over the code and make it better looking, better structured and stuff like that. Because for now we just have a lot of researching to do, we have a lot of experiments to do, and it's hard to write clean and good code in first place. So don't be scared to just fake around a lot and stuff, but keep in mind you need to clean up or tidy up the mess afterwards. So what we have done now is we actually saved us the JSON image meter, and what we would like to do now is we would like to fetch the meter. So in my opinion, the texture name is JSON image meter dot image ID. So let us see. They cannot see where I am. Let us see. I just wanted to have this. Why is he here? Don't want that one. Invalid get index X on base. Okay, so this is what I was thinking of, because we need to write it in this case because it's in value and not a key. And if we want to have a value, we need to use the bracers, and that's also the thing we would need here. So now it should work. So we are here, and now he says create tile cannot convert argument 1 from string to int. So what we've seen now is that they aren't actually ints, they are strings. And therefore we would like to Godot cast string to int. How is this done? Do we have just an int function? Let's check it out. We can do something like int, and int, because we want to have ints. So now we are getting here, and now he says invalid get index 0, because now I have casted it to int, and the problem is the JSON is stored in strings and not int. So by that we will change from int to string and try it again, and then we get also invalid index, so we have to look for that in a minute. So jetzt help you in a text grid. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoyed so far. Yeah, I was writing, or I can recap it a little bit for you. The problem is that I have created my own tileset engine in Java with my old original Timbertales project. So what we have done here is I have actually a representation of the map, which is based on JSON data, which comes from an external editor I've written in JavaScript long ago, and this exports our maps as a JSON data, which actually include the image meter, which stands for the textures we use for the different tiles, and we have some kind of grid data, which is actually the map, which has an X value and an epsilon value, and then reference to the image ID. And the image ID is what I showed you before, the string of the texture. And my conclusion was, or better said, we have wrote it down. The conclusion for the tile map is on the hand, no, deck, game design, tile map. The problem is that in Godot we have this tileset approach and this tilemap approach from Godot itself, which also brings its whole feature set by itself, but we can't use it, or I don't want to use it because I don't need it, because I wrote all my stuff by myself. So the actually pathfinding and all the other things, the navigation, the highlighting, and so on. I have done all the mathematics on my own code and wrote my own engine actually for it, and it's pretty hard to adapt it to the Godot engine itself. And I don't think that I even need these features. This is what I wrote on the problems at 2, because I don't need the navigation or the drawing which Godot offers, because I do it by myself, and so I would like to stick to it. So the conclusion I was taking from yesterday, thinking till today, and just started with it, is I would like to implement my own engine into Godot with the capable of tiles and drawing it by myself, because we have the code already. And yeah, I would like to adapt that in Godot, and we already started it a little bit. So at the moment we are on the code part and trying to get the JSON parsed into Godot and draw the tiles by my engine. And at the moment we are so far that we have actually created tile, which is our tile node, and which is capable of displaying just a simple texture for now. And what we want to do now is having a map, or better said a container, which is fetching all our JSON data out of the map, parse it together, and then draw our tiles in the right order, in the right direction, and with the right textures. So this is it where I'm actually working on right now. For that, we already preloaded the tile scene, which we would like to instantiate for each different tile. So we will have a scene for each tile. We already took the JSON in here, which is for now hard-coded because it's just the map 1. It's the very basic, I think it's the simplest map I've created. So we just start with that one, and then we just created this scene for now, and we now want to parse the file. So what we do is we parse the JSON. For this we access the file and get our file as string, and then we parse, let's do JSON the stuff and parse the string. Out of the string we get, I can show you in the debugger, we get our JSON data. And the JSON data includes all our JSON stuff I showed before. So we now save the JSON metadata. This is the image meter where the textures are actually stored, to another variable, which is the JSON image meter. Afterwards, we iterate over the x coordinate in the map and the epsilon coordinate in the map. And if we are going here, we create then the tile by the coordinate x and epsilon, and the image ID we have stored there. So, and that's where we now. And now I have the problem that he is saying get index 0 on base dictionary is invalid. And there I'm a little bit shocked right now. Yeah, because it's now I see why, because this is a string. I'm not sure how it's Godot strict typing. Is it string like that? So let's rerun it. Let's rerun it. Yeah, now I'm back in the wrong scene. Let's rerun it. Cannot convert argument free from float to string. Ah, it's a float. That's that's cool. Yeah, the problem I have so far, or have now, is that it's just represented as a string for me. It's nice that he is automatically casted to float somehow. So my idea, my dirty approach for now is don't use strict typing and just pass the image ID, just let it take it there and hope we can get there. Then we, but again, get the invalid index on dictionary because this is float then. So we need to have it explicit as string. This is quite, this was the problem I also had with the Java implementation from the original, because it's always a little bit hard to have the same no, let's say it's the types are always a problem. So now I see what's the problem. I was wrong. So the image ID is here as float saved, and the index keys are strings. So what we do need is we need to go dot cast int to string. I'm not sure. Normally you should just concatenate it, but how can I do it to give it a string? My %s %d yeah, it's always a little bit messy because I've saved the JSON in the wrong format, that it actually has an int value as string key, and now we need to actually pass a string. Yeah, I was also thinking that this one is working, but Godot is saying no because string hasn't a constructor. Let's check the documentation for it. String. Normally it should have a string. But it's not a string with construct int file. That's funny. Let's see, how do they do it? This would be too easy, yeah? Let's see, string, is it just string? Yeah, that's working. So simple as that. Just call it by string and then we have a string. And now we should have the texture name here, which is the hexa black one. Now we can instantiate the tile, and afterwards we would say set texture. And for that we need to load the texture. This is load res let's see, the textures are here, and now we have something like the hexa black. And now we take the path out of here, and instead of having now the absolute path here, we need to concatenate it. I hope concatenation was done like that. I think so. And then we have the texture name, and then we add it. And afterwards we can restart the scene. And then he said set texture in base nil. This is interesting because the tile should be an object and we don't have a tile texture. This is the member tile texture. On ready. Because it's not ready. Yeah, because it's not ready, because we first need to add it, I think, as child, and we can afterwards set the texture. This is what, yeah, that's what is quite complicated in Godot, because the ready function is not called until it's not added as a child. So we first need to add the child, and afterwards we can just set the texture. So what we have now achieved is we have now set the texture based on our JSON for the tiles. we can just see a little bit of the tile now because it's on the 0, 0 coordinate and it's centered there. And we have another problem that all of the tiles are now in the same position. By that, I guess we have now something like 400 tiles on top of each other, and we just can't see the last one, which is with this trees here. So let's go on to the project planning. And there we have the create tile node, no. Create tile map, also no. Oh, I don't have saved the other one. That sucks. It's not that important. So what we need to do is now we need to position the tiles because they are overlapping each other because all of them are in the same position. What we need to do is we need to move the coordinates. For that we have the tile node and we have a transform and we have the position. So if I'm not completely wrong, we have in the node itself something like position. I'm not sure if it's transform position, but I think so. So what we need to do is in the create tile, we now need to say tile transform, or can we say position? Let me see. Godot for node position. Get position. I think it's just the position, and we can just debug it, of course. So we can just say position. Just print the tile position. This is so annoying that you have to be in the right thing. So it's always 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so I think that's right. So what we want to do now is we set tile position x is x multiplied with our tile width for now, and the tile position epsilon is epsilon with the height. So let's just start it. And as you can see, we are a step forward, but it's not right. Because now we are in the problem I've showed a little bit earlier. The problem now is we have a hexagon sprite set. And what we have done now is we just multiplicate the width with the x and the height with the epsilon. And this makes us a square tile set, as you can see. And this isn't fitting because that's not right. We need to overlap them to each other. And for that, I would like to take a look into the code, how I have done it. I think there we need to go into the create because it's, the field left. It's the tile size, tile.tile size. God damn it. Yeah, that's the quite complicated part of it because we need to tile size is 0.5, so that's 180. So we go with tile size. So what I tried to do now is just to copy the code from the old engine, or better said, to get it working like that, and look if we can do it with the old code. So we take the tile size with 7.5 because we need to move them right with the X. So tile size multiplied with 0.5 multiplied with X. That should already give us another view. Yeah, it looks also not that right because now the epsilon isn't right, of course. But that's for now for the X part. Now we have the problem that we have an offset. Let's see how I've done it in the past. Geh mal weg gerade. Yeah, the problem is the offset. We need the offset for the hexagon. Yeah, the offset is for the offset. The problem is that every second line in our hexagon tile set, we need to have an offset from the tiles to get them right shifted. And we need to make sure that we see if we are in the correct line. We have the offset there. So what I try to do now is, then I don't have to look so much. I will try to command it here. No, that doesn't work. So this is how the old code worked. It's also already the Z index included, which will be the next problem. But let's first focus on the first problem. So field left is actually working, I would say. Let me just go back to the code and see what is field left. Yeah, it's just the set position. Okay. So that's working. Then we have an offset. So the Z index is for now not really interesting. We have an offset here, which is actually 0. And then we look if we are on the second line. So I think the I in this case is the X. Yes. So what we need to do is to say if X modulo 2 not equals 0, then the offset equals tile size (4). I think so. And then the epsilon position is minus offset plus epsilon multiplied with the tile size by 2. I have no idea if that's right, but we will see. It looks better, but not too good. So what is here now doing? Okay, this looks weird to me. What's actually wrong? I don't think if this is right. But this doesn't look better for now. Yeah, also we have now the problem with the Z index, because what we actually would like to achieve is to have tiles which are later added to have a bigger Z index. I'm not sure if this sprite 2D has the ordering. Yeah, it has the ordering into Z index. So let us see if we can implement it. But first of all, need to take another break. We'll be there in a minute. So here we are back again. So I had hoped it would be a little bit easier because we have the code already. But as we see, we'll go into the same problems I had with the initial implementation, because it's not that easy to create these special type of hexagon fields. So I will see if we can get the Z index working as well. So we have the Z index and we just say it here. And then we have to see what's actually wrong. So this don't int, this is Z index. And then we can say style Z index equals Z index. How is this done? Doesn't it work like that? Godot increment int. Some things are really complicated. So I have to do it. Okay, so it's really, we need to do it the old school way. So this is of course wrong because we have a J there and we don't use a J. I have also no idea why it was, why I don't named it X and Y. So in this case, I would say it is the field top, but I can imagine, maybe I'm wrong with the names. We will see. Don't have the semicolon there. We want to have the map. We want to restart it. Okay, this is looking more weird. So let's just assume it's the other way around. That doesn't look better. So I need to understand what I'm doing here. New tile, field left, tile. Field left is X. Makes sense. So field left is the first one. So this is X. That's right. And field top is epsilon. That's also right. Then we need to see what is actually I and J. Ah, okay, now I understand. The problem is it's not the coordinates. Ah, it's the iterator over it. This makes a little bit of sense because it's not X and Y, because yeah, I have to see if Godot has something equivalent to that. Then because we should have a for loop where we can go over this in range, then we can go over that. We can go over the dictionary where we have the key in the dictionary. And we also have the while loop. which actually goes over that. But what we would need is an iterator from the key set. Get grid, get cells, get key set. But actually I saw that that's it what we have here. Oh, let's see again. We have the map. We have 12019. And then we have 009. Yeah. As you can see here, when you now have the -1, and that's the problem. Okay. Okay. So I understand the problem. I have no idea how to fix it. We will do it like we have done it in the Java as well. So the key set has next 4x in JSON map. That's right. Then we have the J as well. So this is the J there. And then we have at the end of the loop, we need to increase it. Of course. Let's take another look. Yeah, so here we need to add 1 to J, and here we need to add 1 to I. And then we don't give the coordinates. It's a little bit complicated to get into code which is that old and was a little bit special, but I think we can get it. So what we do now is we get, like we've done it here with I and J. Pos x, pos epsilon, cell x, cell epsilon. Yeah, I think that's the trick for it. So what I've done here. Yeah, I'm trying to port my own Tileset engine to Godot, which is quite complicated, as I see for now, because it's quite complex. It was quite complex to write it, and now I have to get used to the code I wrote years ago and find out why things are not working as I expected. But I think we are a step further now, because what I have figured out is in the JSON, I will give you the debug result to see it. That is the pos epsilon, and this one is pos x, and restart. So in the JSON, for the map definition, we have the map grid, the data coordinates. So what does this map represent? It represents all our x coordinates from 0 till 9. So this is left to right. And afterwards we go for the first line. So the map x 0 would be the first line. And then we have the epsilon coordinates also from 9 to 0. The problem is now that we are having a special grid format. I have used a cell data handling that if we go in the second one, we have keys with -1, for example, because the representation of the data grid isn't the same as the representation of the position grid. And now what I would try to achieve is I would like to draw the tiles by the position, and therefore I used the data representation with the minus numbers, and that of course isn't working. So what we need to do here is we need to explicitly exclude both from each other. So the I and J is now representing our position iteration, and so we are just doing an easy increment, and the X and the epsilon is just having our data for the cells. And in this case we have the possibility to have the cell X and the cell epsilon, and we have the position X, if I'm right. So let us check. Doesn't look much better. But first of all, I would like to so what could you are getting here now? Yeah, I also have to see if it's right now, because we have changed up. So this is the first one, I is the first one, and J is the second one. I have named it X and epsilon here. It's the wrong. Create draw time. It's the int. So the X should be in the field left. Yeah, that should be the X. For the X on the field left, and then we have right here, we have then the J for the Z index, which is in our case the epsilon. Then we have the offset based on the measure, or better said, we are in the if container. This is, yeah, this is also quite interesting, because this one is the pos X, because here we see if we are on the second tile, we need an offset for the field top. Otherwise we don't need it. So this is pos X, and the Z index is generated by pos epsilon. And then we have finally on the last position for the field top, we have the J, which is actually the epsilon in our case. So restart. Better. Not good, but better. The measure seems a little bit better. So what we have now for problem is, I think we have the wrong sizes, because I have set the tile size to 100, and that's not wrong, because it's 2.5 in our case. Yeah, much better. Much better. Now the Z index isn't right, and also I think we have a problem with our canvas. So we are using the canvas from the 0.0 starting point. So the left corner is our starting point. Let me answer some questions. What framework were you using that is based in Java? In Java, in the original version, it was libGDX. So the original version of Timbertales is drawn with libGDX, and yeah, it's actually quite working. It's working well, and also I think the code is quite good for it, and the game itself works fine with it. The problem I have with the libGDX framework is it is really hard to maintain, because most of the parts are just code only, and there is nothing like in Godot, yeah, like an editor where I can move the attributes around or things like that. So in the original version, everything was done by code. For the game itself, it wasn't that bad, because I like to do it with the code, and I have no problem to do it with the code, but the very frustrating part is interface design. If you're doing interface design with the libGDX framework and positions in general, you have to do a lot of positioning with pixels and move it around, and every time you change any position or anything, you always need to reload the whole game and test if the position is right or not. And that's really time consuming, because you always have the approach like try and error. So move it 5 picks to the right, then you start up the whole game, you go into it, and you don't like the position or something like that, then you go back, you change the position again, and things like that. So I came up that I would like to have it now in Godot, where things are a little bit easier to maintain. But as I said in the start of the video, the problem is that, of course, my own implementations out of the Java libGDX stuff isn't capable or compatible with the Godot stuff. So we now need to find a way how we can implement my own engine efforts into the Godot, which allows us to maintain it in a better way and to have it in a good way. And the problem is, for example, with the Tileset and the TileMap in Godot, it doesn't work the same way as my original framework implemented it. And so I came up today with the conclusion I would like to implement it based on my data, as I have now started with the JSON stuff and the drawing, because I think it's easier to reference to the old code and make it the way I know it worked, and I know I have done it in the past, instead of using the new approach over Godot, where I use the tileset or the tile maps from Godot, and I need to change everything from my data I already had, and everything from the pathfinding and stuff like that. So I would like to rely on my old code, which is actually tested and working. So what we are trying now is to integrate my assets into Godot, and I think it's working quite good so far. But now we have to measure, we have to see how everything is working with the different drawings. And as you can see, I have now a problem with the Z index. I think it's in the wrong direction. I think it's drawn in the wrong direction. I think that's also the case because libGDX was going from let me think about it. The problem is GDX is rendering from the bottom right corner, and that's the reason I've asked myself why I set a minus in front of that. And I think that's the reason why it's not working in Godot right now. So let us see if, that's the case. So on Godot, we have the 0.0 coordinate in the top left, and on libGDX it was in the bottom right. That's the point, and that's the problem why it was not rendering in the right canvas. So now it's looking much better. As you can see, it's not right. There are still some issues because here are some spaces between. There shouldn't be there. So there is something with the size still wrong, but as you can see, the Z index is now right. So this tile is in front of that, and this is in front of that. So we have already achieved our first goal. We are able to parse the JSON. Oh, unfortunately, it's already 5 minutes left. So then let's do a quick recap and stop it here. So it's quite cool because we already achieved a goal. We have now the Z index working, and we are able to pass our old JSON data, getting out of the data the right textures, setting the textures for the new tiles we have created here in Godot. So this was our basic texture. We can see in the image now that we have different textures. So we now know it's working, that we change it dynamically by the code. And we're getting this information out of the JSON file. So yeah, I think that's quite a cool achievement for today. We have created the tile with the dynamically texture, which we can change, and we already started to make the drawing of the map. As I said, here are some spaces in between. I think it's just a height problem, so we will fix it tomorrow pretty easily, because if I see these spaces here, I think it's just a matter of there is a half too much or a half too less. I would say maybe I can also fix it yet just right now, because I think this is just divided by 2 instead of 4. No, not really. That was right with 4. Then it has to be maybe divided by 2 here. Yeah. So as I said, it was just a matter of a half thing. So and now you can see we don't have the possibility to scroll around or zoom out. So at the moment it looks quite big and we can't see very much of the map, but we can already see that the map is going to show us how the first map should look like. We can now, if we are really interested in it, and I am interested in it, we can look how the map is actually looking in the original game, and then we can do a comparison if it's right drawn. So let us just give it a quick look. It's just a tutorial map. It's the first tutorial map, and as you can see, we have here these 4 stones, and there we have this sea in between. Then we have 3 tiles over there. I try to give it a window. Oh, it's not working right now. Yeah. And maybe we can have it together. So as we can see, we have these stones here in the top left corner, and it looks right for me. We have this looks not right. Yeah, it's interesting because here are 1 tile off, then we have 2 tiles, but there should be 2 tiles, and this one is 1 too much on top. So I think there is a small bug in it still, and it starts on the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 5th line that we are 1 off, but this one looks fine already. So these are the 2 tiles. No, this one is also off. So we have a problem in the epsilon axis for now, but I'm quite happy with the achievement so far, that we could get it work this far for today. And yeah, I will end it for today, because I will look in the Twitch stream. We have created the tile map and Tileset to use it for the map. So let me just edit it. Save it, and I would say we create a new one. Twitch day 3. So for tomorrow I would like to fix the drawing of the tiles. Some epsilon tiles are 1 line off. We need to find out what's happening there. I think there's a problem with the minus coordinates. It's the same thing with the drawing origin. I think in the original one I was going 1 down, and now in Godot it's going 1 up. So we have to see tomorrow where this problem is. So in my opinion, it's just something like there is a minus and there should be a plus, and then we can fix the drawing. After we fix the drawing for tomorrow, I would like to implement zooming on the map, because this allows us then on the tile map to see more tiles, and we can have a brighter overview, a bird's eye view over the map if the map is drawn correctly. And yeah, we can just zoom in and out, implement zoom in and out on the map. So I think that's quite nice, and we could do it for tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow you can explain also why you work only 2. Yeah, the problem is that I have a full-time job on the other hand, where I actually make the money from, and at the moment I need to investigate the time door there and can't do it on the game itself. And also I wanted to take an easy step back, and this 2 hours limitation for now is just for me to get back into the schedule. It's open if I have fun, and if we make good progress, and if it's cool with the live coding and the Twitch thing. I have to say I'm always pretty nervous on the stream, and I feel not very comfortable yet, because every time it feels like a hole if you can't, if there are barriers and we can't make progress or something like that. I feel bad, because I think, that's not what I want to present. But on the other hand, I don't also want just to present finished things. I would like to show you the approach I used, and also would like to show you how I research stuff, because I think most of the time as developer I'm having problems, and I'm looking out onto the internet how to solve these problems. And just to prepare everything for the stream and just show you the final results or the success, I think that would be not that cool, because I think the struggle is a big part of being a game developer and a developer in general, because we always struggle with stuff, and then we need to find out how stuff works. And in this process, you sometimes feel like you're just absolutely newbie, you're just a beginner, and you don't know anything. And then 20 minutes later, you just solve the problem, and you say, hey, I'm able and I'm capable of doing that. So yeah. Also, the problem is I'm German native speaker, and speaking on English all the time. Yeah, I have sometimes problem to find the right words, finding the right things. But I also think if we're doing more sessions like that, and writing and talking more together, maybe everything will become more smoother, more comfortable, and better in this case. Also thought you work during lunch hours. You do a good job. Keep going. Yes, thank you for your feedback so far. I hope you could also take something away from the day today. And if you miss any day, as I said, I will upload every video produced here on Twitch to YouTube if you want to see things again. I can also, of course, share some code stuff. I don't want to open source my game completely, but if you are interested in code parts or stuff like that, you can, of course, see them on the video. So whatsoever, I can share them as well. So let us just finish for tomorrow. I would like to implement the zoom in and out on the map. And as the third task, I would say we implement scrolling by dragging the map around and planning the next steps. I think that's it for tomorrow. I would like to do, and then I would just copy this and mark this card as done, because day 2 is done for today. Then we just add a new title for tomorrow, starting with some coding that was today, fixing the drawing of the tile map, implement zooming and scrolling through the map. So that's the title for tomorrow. I think with the text I'm fine. Maybe I will change them tomorrow, but for today it's fine. Then we can already start the card on the hand. I'm also quite happy with the codec stuff. It feels a little bit uncomfortable because I'm not used that much in the tool right now, but it becomes better and better. And I think it's quite cool. And we will also do there some progress. So thank you for joining today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, and I hope we can achieve more tomorrow. But in contrast to yesterday, I have to say I'm pretty happy with the outcome for today. And I'm a little bit surprised actually that the drawing was pretty easy to implement in Godot. So I really like that approach so far we took, and even if it was that so easy to implement, I think it's the right way to do it. Instead of using the tile maps and the tile set from Godot itself, because in this way it works. I know that it works, and we can just copy it out from the Java stuff, and there is everything happening. And for the water shader and stuff like that, we can also produce the shader in Godot and animate it later. So I think this approach is good and is right for us. And I hope we can do more progress tomorrow and achieve more. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.